Hello and welcome to my channel, and this is Know Me Monday. Know Me Monday is a series of videos that I record so you guys can get to know me a little bit personally. This week's video is a pre-recorded video of the Bookish Academy Awards. I have been trying to get this video out for I don't know how long, but you guys get to check out that video coming up now. I have tried to record this video like 3 or 4 different times. I am done with trying to record this video. I am going to get this video recorded the way that I want it to so that I can put it out to you guys. So I saw this video from Reagan from Perusal Project, and this actual tag or this award sort of thing was created by Kayla from Bookadoodles, and there's only a few rules that I have placed on it. There was one rule that she had put on it, Reagan had, and that was not to repeat any books, but I put a couple of other ones. So the only viable books or the only eligible books for these awards, which I hope to do every single year, is that it had to have been read in the previous year. So in 2016 is when I read all of these books, and this is why they're getting an awards, or getting the award that they're getting, because I read them last year. The other thing is that I'm going to try and not to repeat any of the books or for the list. So it's not going to be like a runaway of, all of the same book for all of the different categories. So you're going to get about 15 different book recommendations for different categories, and let's get started. First category is going to be Best Documentary, which in turn is the best historical or nonfiction book that I read last year. And I actually read this book because it was part of the challenge that I did last year. So I'm really happy that I actually got to, read it, which is going to be kind of difficult for 2017 because I haven't read any historical fiction or nonfiction books, but I may have to change that. But this year's award for Best Documentary goes to Furiously Happy, a funny book about horrible things by Jenny Lawson. The next category is Best Cinematography, and that is the book that had the best plot twists that I thought for the year last year, and that book is Leap by M.R. Joseph. Next category is Best Costume Design, or Best Book Cover that I found last year. And that award goes to Deep Blue Everything by Natasha Boyd. Next up, we have Best Visual Effects, which means this is the best book that had a lot of action to it and really kept me on the edge of my seat, and really I wanted to just know what was going on. It was just action after action after action. Lots of explosions and lots of craziness, and just really grab at you. And that award for Best Visual Effects goes to Stark Shadows by C.D. Bradley. Next is going to be Best Musical Score. And that for me means the best music in a book to movie adaptation, which was a little difficult because last year I watched a lot of movies that were adapted to books, so I had a slew of choices there. I went with Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, and the reason I picked that one was because even though the book really grabbed me and got me emotionally, it wasn't until I saw the movie and that movie soundtrack, it just ripped my heart out. I cried from like beginning to end on that movie. It was just so good, and I think it had to do with the actors and seeing it on screen, and then the music that was just tied into it. So good. So very, very good. Next category is going to be Best Short Film, and that in turn means Best Novella or Short Book that I read last year, and that goes to Thief by Alexa Riley. I read this book because after I met these two ladies at Indies in Fate Philly, they pretty much were like, you just need to read our books. They're hot, they're sexy, they're fun, they're short, they're quick, you're gonna love them. And yes, I did. I absolutely loved their books, and I'm totally addicted to their stories because they are short, sweet, and very predictable, but at the same time with a bit of a twist, so I don't know what's coming, but I know they're going to be hot and they're going to be sexy. Best Original Screenplay. Most Unique Plot or World. That goes to It's You Duet by Katie Regnery. And the reason I picked this series is because this is Katie Regnery's first paranormal duet, and I was really dragged into this world. I absolutely loved it. I wanted to read more paranormal romance after I read this duet, and it just dragged me in. The way she took up folklore and shifter type aspects of it, it was hot, it was sexy, it really drew me in, and I want more paranormal romance, and I'm gonna go get it sooner or later. Next up is a Best Adapted Screenplay, and that is the best book to movie adaptation that I saw last year. That award goes to The Martian by Andy Weir. I picked that book because it was just absolutely amazing how they took all of that book and all of those feels and all of that, the characteristics of a man being on Mars all by himself, and threw it up on the screen and made it look absolutely amazing. It was so beautiful to see Mars and to see how all the technology could be shown in a very beautiful way. I absolutely loved it. And I tried to read the book straight out 3 different times, and it wasn't until I listened to it on audiobook to hear the inflection and the sarcasm and everything that the narrator had to give, and then to see it on screen, oh, it was just so beautiful and so amazing. Next up, we have Best Animated Feature, and that means a book that I would think or would fit well as an animated format. And I'm gonna go with The Luna Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, and that includes Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. And I think that this would be a great adaptation into an animated sort of format because they are fairy tale retellings, and the grand scheme of Marissa's description of the lands and the moon and the different places that people live and the different colonies that have begun post-apocalyptic new world order, and it's just so cool. So cool. I think that would be amazing to sort of see on big screen. Now we're getting down to the good awards that everyone usually just absolutely loves. And to start it off, we're going to go with Best Supporting Actor. And in turn, that is my best male sidekick or secondary character in a book. And that award goes to Gus from Brightside by Kim Holden. And I loved him so much that when I read his book, Gus by Kim Holden, I was just in awe of this character. I loved him in Brightside and felt for him in Brightside and wanted to know more about him in Brightside. And when she gave us more with Gus, oh, yes, it was absolutely amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Next up, we have Best Supporting Actress. As with Best Supporting Actor, this is my best female sidekick or minor character. And that award goes to Sydney from Why Lie by Carrie Haywood. And she also got her own spin-off of a book, and I loved her in her own book. She was barely mentioned in Why Not, but then she got her own book of Why Lie, and you just, the things that Carrie ends up putting her through were just so amazing. So amazing. Turned her from being a minor character into a major character, and you just love, or at least I loved her journey and everything that she had to go through. It was heartbreaking, it was beautiful, and the way Carrie wrote her was just amazing. You just knew she was going to be like one of your friends, and to have your friend go through the things that she went through, oh, woo, so good, so good. Next is Best Actor, and that is my best or favorite male protagonist from last year, and that is going to be Wyatt from Say You Want Me by Corinne Michaels. Anyone that knows me knows that I love Corinne Michaels, and Wyatt was written so beautifully. He is this heart-driven male character that has this staunch, like, thoughts and beings of what a guy should be. He's a cowboy. They're in this small town. He knows what he wants to do. He has a path, and he shows his sensitive side in his book, and you just feel for him and you root for him and you just love him. I loved him so much. So next is Best Actress, and that is my favorite female protagonist from last year, and that award goes to Stella from That Which Destroys Me by Kimber S. Dawn. Oh my goodness. I loved Stella. She was so strong in this book. Just, I can't even tell you how much she moved me, and her independence and just all around, just her being was amazing. I can't even really tell you about what the story's about because that would sort of spoil the story, but know that Stella is a super strong character. Oh, just so strong, and my favorite for last year. And for Best Director, which is the writer that I discovered for the first time last year, that award goes to Corinne Michaels. There are some other authors that I would have loved to put into this category. However, I had read them before last year. Corinne Michaels, I started reading last year because I was preparing for a couple of signings, and I was going to meet her in April. So I had to start reading her books because I wanted to be prepared to talk to an author about their books. I read one of her books, and then I read her second book, and then I read another book. And now I stalk her, and whenever she decides she's going to release a book, I'm like, ooh, Corinne! Can I, please, can I read your book? Please, can I read your book in advance? Please. She is my favorite author from last year. You need to go check out her books. She writes military books. She writes cowboy books. She writes amazing, heartfelt, break your heart and put it back together, or sometimes leave it just destroyed, but they're amazing. Oh, so many good books. So many good books to check out. And lastly is my favorite book from last year. I read 163 books last year. Yes, indeed. I read a lot of books last year, but this one had to be a standalone. That was one of the qualifications to become Best Picture for last year, and that goes to Dying Wish by Margaret McHeyzer. This book left me emotionally drained. I cried in my video review for it, which I'll link down in the description box. It moved me. It was beautiful. It just, it was everything. Everything. So that is my Bookish Academy Awards. finally getting that out there. Hopefully you guys get some good recommendations for books to go check out. I'll try and do this again next year, probably earlier in the year, more along the lines of when the Academy Awards actually come out. As always, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe. There is a form in the description box so that you guys can assist me with improving my channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.